most marketers are phoning it in. They're not being particularly creative because when they learned how to market, it wasn't necessary to be creative to stand out. They had these captive audiences.
Welcome to Velocitize Talks. My name is Andy North, and I'm here with Ian Greenleigh, author and director of marketing at Data.World.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Let's just jump right into it. How does marketing, particularly digital marketing, need to evolve to reach a skeptical public that is receiving information from a fire hose?
So we think about the world as flat today. It's flat, but it's also wide. So everyone has the ability to get in front of another person, but it's a lot more difficult to stand out because there are that many more competitors for attention. So we know this today, but it's also, in a sense, not super difficult because most marketers are phoning it in. They're not being particularly creative because when they learned how to market, it wasn't necessary to be creative to stand out. They had these captive audiences. But these days, you can actually stand out just by applying a modicum of creativity. And the way to do that is to think about how can I be indispensable to this audience? Just know that other marketers generally aren't thinking that way. They're thinking about their numbers, their concerns, their company's goals. But in reality, it benefits you as a company to think about that audience first. And people don't ignore utility. They will know if your content is helpful to them, or they'll be ambivalent about it and totally ignore it. So if you are always trying to provide utility, be useful to people, there's no way that you won't stand out, especially when you're employing kind of the traditional marketing techniques to reach them. That combined with something that's just a little bit different, a little more helpful than your competitors for attention, will get you on their radar and influence their behavior.
How important is brand purpose? And can there still be branding without appealing to a tribe when social media influence is such a big part of brand building?
I think that brand purpose is just as important now, but what's different is it's easier for your audience to figure out if you're truly living your purpose or if it's just kind of BS. So that's one factor. The other factor is we talk about tribes, but I think that tribalism is largely a societal ill. It's responsible for more bad than good, and a really interesting challenge for brands is to figure out how to transcend that. It's easier said than done, but one thing we do know, I think, is you can't really play both sides of any kind of debate. You can't play to the pro-gun people over here and the anti-gun people over here equally. So it doesn't mean you have to have a stake in the ground. Maybe it means you try to avoid the debate, but people are going to be looking for your response to things all the time. And if you can somehow figure out a way to transcend tribalism and to unite your audience by the things that actually connect them rather than divide them, in addition to the fact that they know about your brand or buy your products, then that's really a great first step.
You wrote a book called The Social Media Side Door about leveraging influence and attention. What is the side door and how do you open it?
The social media side doors are portals that you can step through to access and influence important people, people that can do things for you. And it's kind of a way to skip the line at the front door. So, investing a lot in like resume preparation and things like that. All these traditional playbooks that we have, or sales training, those are fine and they usually work, but there's a quicker way. And social media has opened up all these opportunities to directly get in front of someone and to figure out how to get their attention, to figure out what appeals to them, and then make a calculated play for it. So it's easier than ever to influence people. You have more competitors than ever, but it is easier. And social side doors, like in my first case, it was a reverse help wanted Facebook ad. I wanted to get a job at Bizarre Voice, my former employer. It was a really tough gig to get. And later I realized that it's the 14th hardest interview in the world, according to Glassdoor. I didn't know that at the time, but just to get the foot in the door was really difficult. So I took out a Facebook ad and I said, hey, I'm Ian. I'm looking for a job in new media. Can you help? Click here. It went to kind of a shortened top 10 bullets ADD era version of my resume for anyone to see. And the CMO at the time, Sam Decker, found it and called me up, even though I had actually been screened out of that role because my resume on paper wasn't anything special. But they gave me another shot because I had exerted that creativity, I had demonstrated it. And the funny thing is, I actually took that idea from someone else who had tried it for a different purpose. And I innovated on his idea, changed a few things around, and targeted anyone that worked at Bazaar Voice, anyone with the title Chief Marketing Officer in their Facebook bio. And those two things helped me get my foot in the door and get the first social media job at Bazaar Voice. And it's the job that was really kind of like the springboard for my career.